it. So when Kara and I got done talking last time, I think we were talking offline about anemia and like
Yes, I text
like
message you.
menstrual stuff. So then you texted me and was like, "Hey, artichoke leaf is like really good for this." So then I ordered artichoke leaf and I've been drinking it, right? Like my big vat of it every day. But like, did you see the picture that I posted?
I did, yeah.
Right? Like, so it looks like exactly like weed.
It does. It really does.
It really
So
does.
what does it smell like? Is
It's
it
hard.
bitter? Like,
It's very bitter, but this
yeah,
I actually have a little bit of lemon balm in it because I just like mixed it
nice.
all up to just be able to pull a tablespoon out. Um, so I can't tell you exactly what it smells like, but it has this like it's fuzzy. So I had reached out to Jackie at
Huh.
Prana House being like, I've never worked with this herb before, so I'm just making sure that this is how it's supposed to look, that it's not mold. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
She was like, nope, yep, it's totally supposed to has like a little fuzz to it.
I'm
So
trying to picture artichoke because you only ever see like we in like American society, we just like deal with the fruit, or I guess that's the fruit of it. But
mhm.
yeah, I'm trying to picture it. I guess it's kind of fuzzy artichoke. I don't know if I've ever really seen an artichoke plant before.
I don't think I've seen an artichoke plant before either.
And you know what I love? I love about you that you're like, I'm like, yeah, I don't know how it tastes. And you're like, it's not good, but I'm drinking it. Like I'm so like that. Like if it's medicine, it's good for me. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just like it's my medicine. Like I'll just
Mm.
consume it. Does the lemon balm helping at all?
So the lemon balm is helping. I sometimes am like that where like if it tastes gross, I'll still take it. But like I told you, like the liquid iron is disgusting, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
I made it with today, so like my little jar is probably like mm, 3 to 1 artichoke leaf lemon balm. And then
Mhm.
I steeped it today also with mint tea, and that seemed
Nice.
to be the ticket that like took all of the bitterness out of it. And I
Awesome.
love mint, mint, mint. I love mint.
Are you
So
doing an overnight infusion? Because that can make it even more powerful. I mean, it can be also annoying, but you can do like an overnight infusion in the fridge.
uh-huh.
And then that'll make it like really medicinal. Also, though, it might make it way too bitter, so you can play
Yeah.
around with it.
Yeah, so I'll try this out today. We'll see about an overnight. What I do have overnight in the fridge, which is also like one of my favorites, which is very good for blood and like moving things along, is hibiscus.
Nice. I love
I
hibiscus. I don't think I
love
remember that
hibiscus
being
too.
blood moving.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's really good for like sugar balancing too, like
Hmm.
insulin and like cooling down in the summer.
Yes.
Hibiscus is, I said, I kind of want to, so we've been like trying to plant native plants and stuff, but I'm like,
Yep.
I want to try to get a hibiscus tree.
Mm.
And apparently, if you start it indoors, you can grow it outside.
Hmm.
Um, and I have like ornamental hibiscus here that I just like moved into, but like I want to like hibiscus tree and like make tea in the summer
Hmm.
and do the whole thing. Like that would be really nice. And it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Hibiscus mint is
And
like my jam in the summer because I get so
and it turns the
hot.
color, yeah, and it turns the like it is the color like purple or like blue, like the hibiscus
Of the
tea.
tea. Yeah. Hold on. I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's so
Right here.
pretty.
Yeah. So it's
I,
like it's like the color of like cranberry juice.
yeah,
Maybe
it's
a
so
little bit
pretty.
like darker. It's so pretty. And then I just read something today that a great like natural electrolyte is like hibiscus with like some coconut water. I'm like, great, that sounds delicious.
Ooh, yeah.
Hold on, let me put that back. Oh, my refrigerator's open. Anyway. All right, so that happened when we got off the phone, and then the other thing, and then is that I ordered all this really good stuff for you, so I thought it would be fun to like
Yes.
open it up. Um, I will tell you that I use your lip balm every day. It's at my desk. that I got with, I think you like sent it along as like a cute little treat when I ordered honey over the holidays.
Okay.
Um,
It's got honey and peppermint in it and
that's it.
beeswax in it. That
So
lip
good.
balm. I like
Um,
that lip balm.
and while I'm trying to open this package, um, you know, I swear by raw honey. I use it every day and probably have for like a decade. I think it's why I don't really have allergies anymore.
You had
Um,
allergies.
yeah, I was like a
Huh.
sick kid. I had like really bad asthma, allergies. But I have honey every day because my weird thing that I do, but I will like die on the hill, is I put honey in my coffee.
Yeah, people
And it's
do
just
that.
like,
I've done it a couple times.
so
It really takes
good.
away the bitterness in the coffee, like
Totally,
neutralizes it.
totally smooths it out and then like gives, depending on the honey, can give like the coffee a little bit of a different taste. All right, we have another package inside the package. Hold on.
Oh, yes, your package. I packaged your package and then I forgot the bug repellent. So I had to cut it open and then repackage it. So I was like, I'll just do the double package and it'll be double extra safe.
Okay. All right. Oh my God, this smells so good. So the first thing I just took out are the rosemary and honey shampoo and conditioner bars.
Nice. Yes.
Um, I think we did we talk about this last time?
I
Rosemary
don't
for
know.
me is like the biggest balm. There's just something like it is a soul balm, it is a heart balm, it's a physical balm. Like the smell, I could eat it, all of those things. So I'm so excited about this. And my question for you, how do I open this box? There it is tell me
You could just
about,
open it from the bottom too. You can just
okay,
undo the bottom and pop it open.
as somebody who also has like curly hair, right? Like my
Mm.
hair is really sensitive to products. So what has been your experience of making these using the
Yes.
curly hair? Oh my God, it smells
So,
so good.
my hair's pretty windblown and frizzy right now, but this is actually as messy as my hair is. This is like days and days
Mm-hmm.
and days since showering, and my curls are like again, I literally drove
Yes.
an hour with all the windows down and my hair is windblown.
No, yeah,
So
I
this
think
is
it looks
actually
good. Mm-hmm.
pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So shampoo bars, at least my shampoo bar, because I used to speak for shampoo bars across the board, and then I realized not all shampoo bars are created equal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it doesn't strip your hair like commercial shampoos.
Mm-hmm.
So it have you used a shampoo bar ever?
I have. So I have a specific question too, but I'll get to that once you're done
Okay.
chatting.
Um, so it helps your scalp regain its natural oil production.
Mm.
So like, and that's what I mean, curly hair wants
Mm-hmm.
hydration. It doesn't want to be stripped. So that's awesome. It also like lathers up like real quick.
Mm.
Um, and then the conditioner, I had really hard water at like my last two houses, so much so that my hair was falling out and like chopped off all my hair because it was so bad. And my
Mm.
hairdresser was like just giving me heavy metal like conditioners and shampoos because she was like, I can smell the heavy metals in your hair.
Mm.
So I was using like very expensive conditioners and I just wanted to get rid of the plastic waste. So I really, it's interesting with the conditioner because I've been testing it, and then I went into Weaver's by Ambler where I sell it, and the woman, the beauty buyer there, was like, "Do you make a conditioner? People want conditioners." And I was like, "Yeah, I just got to get back to the drawing board. Like, I should do that." And then I get in my car, and Dave from Dave's Backyard Farms in Huntington Valley text messages me, and he's like, "People are asking about a conditioner," and I was like, "Okay, that's weird," because
Mm.
I was just like 30 feet ago, I was just asking, like asked about
Mm-hmm.
that. So I drive home, I walk in the house, and Greg goes, "People are asking me about conditioner bars. Like, are you gonna get back to that?" And I was like, "Okay, universe, I'll make
Yeah.
conditioner."
Yeah.
So I sit down and I just start like I look at my recipe and I start reading more and I just like kind of feel like it's time to make this conditioner and I'm just like trusting my intuition like okay, I'm being told that I should make conditioner, like, just kind of like go with it, and I make this conditioner, and I make this recipe and I go into the kitchen to like make it, and I don't have all the ingredients. So I have to order them. And then by the time they come, I just have this light bulb again, like 2 days later, like, oh, I should make this tweak. And I make this conditioner and I'm like, oh my God, this conditioner is better than like the $30 little tub of conditioner that I've been
Mm,
buying to like fix my hair. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but like it's really great. And like I'm getting really good feedback.
yeah.
Yeah, so and it's helping my curls big time. And it's helping my hair grow. Like my
Yeah.
hair's grown, and the rosemary helps
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
stimulate your scalp and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. So
Very cool.
that's, yeah.
Yes. It's always nice when you can read and you know all of the ingredients on the package. So are you somebody that only washes your hair like once a week or shampoos it once a week and conditions it more, or what's your curl protocol?
Probably around once a week. I wash my hair. I'll like braid it and do twists and stuff because it'll just be like a hot mess. But yeah, I
Yeah.
try to do like once a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you doing the same thing?
Yeah. And I don't even shampoo it once a week. When I wash it, it's usually just a conditioner. Um, but my question specifically, I haven't used a bar in a really long time, but I remember when I did, like I felt like the bar was disintegrating in the shower, kind of like a soap bar. So do you have like a tip to like keep it intact?
The conditioner specifically?
Either one.
Either one. Yeah. It's funny because the conditioner, I just keep adding a little bit more beeswax to make it harder and harder
Mm,
because I do find that the conditioner um, does disintegrate. It's hard. Like, okay, couple things. One, like I have a long shower, so I can just keep it in the back, right? So you
yeah.
don't want like the water falling on it. Also, you don't want a dish soap that it needs like slats or holes or something. It can't be sitting in the water. Another thing though is that I found with traveling, and you could totally do this at home, is that I slice up the shampoo
Oh,
and the
nice.
conditioner into slivers
Mm,
so that you don't have like that wet bar that's gross that you have
yeah.
to like carry around.
Yeah.
Um, and so you could do that. I told people that, and then they've taken that into the shower. And so they only bring into the shower
What they use.
pieces
Yeah,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Could you
And
wrap it if
then
you're traveling? Could you wrap it in one of your beeswax wraps
after it's dry,
after it's dry? Hmm.
I wouldn't do it wet. I wouldn't do it wet. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's keep unpacking here. This is so fun because I kind of forgot what I ordered. Then we have this
That,
soap, the honey and oats soap.
yes, that's just a little treat I sent you.
Oh, that's
Yes.
a treat. Yay,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're
Treat.
welcome.
All right, let's see what else is in here. Oh, now I'm remembering what I ordered because I was like, this will be a fun thing to talk about. So before we got on our call last week, or whenever it was, I had taken a shower, did my curls that day. I really have no protocol when it comes to my face. And
Mm.
I go through phases where, like, the moisturizer I'm using now is probably because my sister gave it to all of the sisters at Christmas, which was how many months ago? 5 months ago. There is another Christmas gift in my shower that is like a sugar lip scrub that sometimes I'll like
Mm.
put on my face to exfoliate my face. So it's very random, but the day specifically, the week that I chatted with you, I was putting straight up coconut oil on my face.
Ooh. Did you
So,
break out?
no, no, my skin, like I tend to be like super, super dry.
Okay.
So I was, so I was like, I should tell Kara that that's what I put on my face before I ordered this, which is the Daily 2-in-1 Cleanser
Ooh.
Mask.
So nice. So that's honey, turmeric, and lemon. So
Mm.
honey will clean your skin without like while hydrating because honey draws moisture in.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then the turmeric is anti-inflammatory and the lemon even skin tone. So like my favorite way to use that
Uh-huh.
is as a mask,
Okay.
like thin layer because it's honey. So that jar will last you so long.
Mm-hmm.
And
It
like
looks like
it,
honey. Oh my God.
yeah. I mean,
Smells
it's like,
so
yeah,
good.
doesn't it
Mm-hmm.
smell good? And
Mm-hmm.
like if it drips in your mouth while it's a mask or whatever, you're like, this is actually pretty tasty. It wipes out blackheads, like
Okay.
wipes out blackheads. Like, I'm like wash my face, I'm like, ew, gross. And I put it on. Um, and you can't leave it on too long.
Mm.
So sometimes I'll put it on and like watch a movie or like watch a basketball game or like whatever and leave it on for however long and then rinse it off the next day. I swear, like my skin is glowing.
Oh, so when you say you can't put it on too long, you mean like it's never like too long is never too much time.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was a bad
Yeah, yeah,
phrasing. Yeah,
yeah.
yes, what you said is
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
I had this little girl during COVID. She came up, I was at Chestnut Hill Farmers Market, and she comes up and she pulls her mask down and she has she's like 12 or 13 and she has acne all over. And
Mm-hmm.
so we talk about it and I sell her this thing and she comes back the next month and I don't know because everyone's wearing masks and she pulls down her mask and she's smiling and she's beaming smiling and I'm like hi, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's going
Yeah.
on. And she was like, and her mom's like, she used her mask every day and cleared up her acne.
Oh
And
my
she's
God.
just like, thanks so much. They bought like 6 jars of it. They were like, and but I was thinking like how amazing if you because I had acne at 12 and 13 till I was like an adult, which is why I started the skincare line. Like if you're 12, 13 and you have acne and
Oh,
then it clears up in a month, like do you know how life changing that is? It's like
yeah.
amazing.
That's
So you can
that's
also
awesome.
just use it as a face wash, but
Yeah.
like even if you just want to like put it on before you take a shower
Mm.
and then take your shower
Mm-hmm.
and then like wash it off, like you could do that.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
And then are you immediately following it with this?
Yes, I am. The rejuvenating facial serum.
Is it gonna focus? Yeah. Yep.
Um, yeah, so you can kind of play around with it and see how much you want on your face. I use that in the morning. I use it at night, like all over my neck, all over my
Mm.
chest.
Mm-hmm.
And just like in the middle of the day, if I'm looking like old and haggard, I'll just like put a couple drops
Yeah.
and like around, and it's just like so nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's also like a golden color.
Yeah, it's got really good stuff. That's like
Oh my God, this
um
smells so good.
good. It's geranium and lavender in it.
Oh my gosh. And there's so many good things in here. Jojoba,
Yeah.
apricot, almond, rosehip, avocado oil, grapeseed oil, sea buckthorn oil, carrot seed
Mhm.
oil, geranium, and lavender. Yeah, that's a good combo.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
good stuff.
Awesome. That's that. And then there's one more thing. This has got to be the bug spray or the insect repellent.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah,
the one
you
you
got a
were
good
telling, yeah, you were telling me last time that you like were like perfecting this, perfecting this, perfecting this.
yes. So this season I put this all by the way, all of my stuff is reused. So like all of that packaging is just like reused packaging that I
I,
get.
I know I heard your call out on social media today to
Yes.
send bubble wrap. So I'm just gonna like send this back to you.
Yeah, it's like herbal infused. Every single thing in it is in a bug repellent. And it's so good for your
Mm-hmm.
skin. And you can put
Mm,
it on your face. And it like if I put coconut oil on my face, it would clog my pores like
mm, mm-hmm,
really bad.
mm-hmm.
Um, so you are lucky that you can do that. But you can put it on your face. It's actually like really good for just your skin in general, like acne, it's really good for,
Mm.
and just like wrinkles and renewing.
We're talking about the bug
So
spray, right?
we're talking about the bug repellent. Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
not a spray, it's an oil. Just
Yeah.
so people,
Okay.
because like people are like, some people are like weird about it
So
because
what
they
do you just
like
put it in your hand and then
rub it all over.
rub it all over?
You can
Okay.
put it like you can put it in your hair, it's good for your hair. You can put it on your animals, but in the I use it like if I'm gonna be home and
Mm,
out, I use it as a face and body moisturizer
mm, mm-hmm.
and as a tick repellent during the day, and then before the mosquitoes come out, I'll put it back on, and it absorbs in quickly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
So let me ask you this. I guess specifically with the bug repellent, because there's like I don't know what this question is coming from a purely ignorant standpoint.
great.
Because there's so much essential oils in it, do you have to worry about burning in the sun?
Never happened. I
Okay.
also am very like I'm not overusing essential oils.
Okay.
Like that's probably like I'm very careful with like how much essential oils I'm using. I always say like that's like even good. You can put that on kids. I always say like test the patch. You always want to like test the patch
Yeah.
before, make sure everything's good. Um, But no, I've never had an issue with that. I usually put what I do when I wear sunblock is I put the sunblock on. What do I do? I think I put the sunblock on first and I put the bug repellent on second. Um, yeah. And
Okay.
like some of those oils have natural like sunblock just in their plant nature.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
are protecting against the sun.
So then what are you using for sunblock?
Somebody just asked me like make sunblock, but like I don't feel comfortable making sunblock because I can't get it tested and like be like, this is SPF, whatever. So I use Super Goop on my face, which is expensive, but it lasts. Like it'll last like 2 seasons and
Mm.
it's thin. Have you ever used Super Goop?
Mm-mm.
It's like real thin. It's like just absorbs in, doesn't build up. Like you don't feel like gross and disgusting
Mm-hmm.
afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be really careful because I break out easily. So Super Goop on my face and neck, and then I just use Alba on
Mm-hmm.
my body, but
Mm-hmm.
you can't use the Alba, the one that smells the best, like the Hawaiian one,
Uh-huh.
like is the one you want to use because it smells like suntan lotion in the beach, but it's poison, so don't use that one.
Okay.
But I just yeah, Alba and like
So what's the one you can use?
all the other ones.
Okay.
There's like a bunch of different
Just
scents, like
not the
Sport, and
Hawaiian.
just
Okay.
not the Hawaiian one. They have
And
like a
what?
bunch of other ones.
Because there's something in it that's making it smell like
Yeah,
it's
it's like
really gross for
yeah,
you. Yeah.
yes. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is, but like if you look at the
Yeah. Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like Baby Balm. I've used Baby Balm is good. That's all I can think of right now. But I just like Alba like rubs in really nicely. Like a lot of the natural ones, like you're white and you're like
Yeah.
pasty.
Yeah.
But you know what the thing is like, okay, so I learned this in my herbalism, um,
Mm.
from my herbalist. So you want to go outside without sunscreen
Mm-hmm.
for 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
20 to 30 minutes if you can. I mean, obviously it's like really hard for people to do this, but like I try to do it in the middle of the day,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And get your sun. And then after that put sunscreen on. And then you want to try to not shower for the rest of the day because it takes up to 15 hours for your skin to produce vitamin D.
Mm.
So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, and there's not enough studies, and they haven't quite figured it out. But like, are we washing off whatever it is for our skin to like be producing the vitamin D like in
Mm.
showers?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, obviously if you're sweaty and you're gross, but like,
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean.
and then also like, are we over showering?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like, can we just wash the stinky parts
Mm-hmm.
and kind of
Mm-hmm.
um keep that like good sun on our skin?
And all the oils in the skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And does sunblock block vitamin D?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
like this over crazed sunblock like culture,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're blocking all the vitamin D. So like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. I have always had some like mixed thoughts about sunblock, and nowadays it would put me in the realm of like conspiracy theorists. But I just know that like a decade, 15 years ago, when I was doing my retreats to Tulum, I mean, before we got in any water, we had to wash off. They're like, if you have sunblock on,
Yeah.
all your hair products, like
Yes.
it's infecting the waters and creating disease for the animals and the fish that live in there. And so I was like,
And killing them off. Yeah,
right. It's like,
absolutely.
well, so what's it doing for us?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so there's that. All right, cool. So that's all your products. I can't wait to try them all. They smell so good. I feel like the older
I
I've
know.
gotten, the more I appreciate like good
I
smelling
have a
things.
f- I have a friend that like in the winter she buys the bug repellent because she's just like I love the smell and I just want to like
Mm,
use it as my moisturizer all winter long. I'm like, great.
yeah. Cool. All right, let's get into some dirt.
Great. Turn some
Um,
more light on.
so when we wrapped our last chat, like literally, I think as soon as I hit stop recording, you were like, Let me tell you what really happened. Let me tell you what really happened.
I did.
And I want to chat about what really happened, but I want
Okay.
to give some, I want to do like a very quick and fast recap because then what happened was I then went and listened to the Mind Your Hives episode, which was, I think, episode 9, which was like FU Hurricane Ida or Hurricane Ida FU, which you and your husband, Greg, who you do the podcast with, talked about your experience of what happened to your farm property during Hurricane Ida. And so, if you're watching this, you should go back and listen to that episode because it's a great episode because it's like the interesting thing of like human beings and human dynamics. I was so engaged with the whole thing because like it was such an intense story and you guys did such a good job of telling the story of, preparing the house, the tornadoes that came afterwards, and just the different things that were happening to you during the flooding. And then getting into like your experience immediately after it. So like within as soon as you could get outside and the floodwaters receded. Two, at that point, I think that podcast, I think you said something in it that it was like 5 weeks post Hurricane Ida. So you also then started talking a lot about your experience of trauma, right? And so there's a couple things I want to talk about, and I can't remember right now, but again, like everybody should listen to this episode, especially if you live in Montgomery County or PA. Like I remember the hurricane, I remember the tornadoes. You can still drive up and down Bethlehem Pike and see the impact of those tornadoes. And yet it's been so out of mind for me that anybody was really impacted in such the way that you guys were impacted, right? Which was really devastating. And you talk about this in the episode, like people don't. I know about this because I've had a natural disaster kind of thing happen to me, but like think about the like really. I forget what what both of you were calling him, like the insurance industry, and like how
Yeah.
effed up it is, like and like there's just like so many different pieces, like the first piece being of course like it's your home, it's the place that like where you feel safe, where you go to sleep, where you eat, where your animals are, right? And that's uprooted, which is traumatic in and of itself. And then all of these other little pieces that I don't think a lot of people think about and how long you have to deal with them for. So you talk about
Still,
people
still
making, yeah,
unresolved.
yeah, people making food for you, and like you still had to go to work, all of these things. So it's a really interesting episode. And there's two specific pieces that I kind of want to dissect. So I know what you told me
Right.
when we got off the phone, and I can't remember if you brought it up at all in the episode. I think
Kind of did.
you kind of did, but it was like still on the surface, right?
Yeah.
So what I would love to hear is, so I believe what you said in the episode was that there was things that were going on with the house that you needed some relief around or needed to find a way to kind of be out of the situation that you were in. And so you did a specific practice. So you did a specific
Yes.
practice, and I want to like hear about, as much as you're
Okay.
willing to share,
Yeah,
like
I can
what
tell.
that
It's fine.
specific practice was. Because
Okay.
I think all of us do this all of the time. And I think a lot of people don't realize they're doing it. You did it with intentionality, like you were doing it on purpose. But I think a lot of people walk through their lives and are doing this in their mind unconsciously, right? And so like what happens when there's like some intentionality behind it?
Well, also people are doing it negatively
Totally.
over and over and over again, and they don't realize what they're manifesting. I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting chills just thinking about this whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like negatively, like we need to think about like that. Like, where is our mind? Where is our energy? Where the mind goes, the energy flows, right?
Right. And
So,
you're like, I love the your word is your wand.
ooh, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're casting spells all the time. So let's hear about the spell that you cast.
Okay, so we needed to get out of the house.
Yes.
So I had in my yoga teacher.
When you say we needed to get out of the house, we're talking again. We are at this point. This is before the hurricane.
Before hurricane.
So when you say
Okay, so I'll start there. So
yeah.
we unbeknownst to, so we knew we were moving into a flood zone. We were young. This place was magical and beautiful, and it was an Ambler, and it was 2 acres, and it was like this farm, and we were going to build our dreams. And we did all of the research. We were moving into a flood zone, and the flood insurance was like not that much money, and it was something we could afford. It was like living at the beach or living at a lake house or whatever. And we did all of the research that we could, and we were surrounded by people that didn't really care about us, that wanted to take advantage of us, that didn't really care about the answers that we were looking for. And so we buy this house, and then we realize that we're in a more severe flood zone than we had originally thought, and our flood insurance is climbing and climbing and climbing. And actually, like, a lot of people are in this problem right now, like in Montgomery County, in Chester County, or not Chester County, in Bucks County. Like, I know, because of climate change, because you weren't in that bad of a flood zone, and then climate change is happening, and we're getting more rain than ever, and rivers are flooding, and things that weren't flooding before, like, are. And so it's just, it's a growing problem that's happening, and it's terrifying. So it's actually happening in like Florida right now really bad, because of, like, it's Florida and hurricanes. So our flood insurance gets up to over $13,000 a year. And we were like,
Whoa.
I was like, we should like be living in Malibu and have a private jet. Like, we couldn't even afford, like, our mortgage was this much money, and then our flood insurance was this much money. And like, it was just, like unmanageable. And like, so, but we were trapped because no one would buy our house because the flood insurance was too high. And we couldn't get the flood insurance down. So we're like in this situation. So in my yoga teacher training, we um prayed to Ganesh, who in the last episode, or in the last chat, I was like, you're like, who's Ganesh? I was like, I couldn't remember. I was like, so Ganesh is the son of Shiva and Parvati, and he is, that you so beautifully put it, the remover of obstacles. But I was even thinking about this driving home today. Like, you want to remove obstacles. Like, let's say something's in your way. Like, you can't just be like, get out of my way. Like, it's going to take a huge effort and blood, sweat, and tears to move this thing out of your way so that you can go here, especially if it's this giant obstacle and you feel like you're like suffocated by this, right? Like, let's say this is like this huge boulder on me. Like, I'm not just going to be able to like lift this boulder off and be like, oh, I'm fine now. Like, it's going to take a lot of work. So Greg is at work and I am at home, and I decide that I'm going to make this vision board, and I am going to, so my yoga teacher training, yeah, we like heavily Ganesh, like very connected to Ganesh. So Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha is the chant to Ganesh, and I decide to play that chant, I don't know, hour, 2 hours, and I'm chanting the whole time, and I'm building this, and I'm burning sage, and I'm just in it, and I'm building this vision board. And on the back of the vision board, I write all over it, Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha, Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha, like all over it. And I'm just like, and on the vision board, so we were trying to get a grant from the federal government to buy they can lift houses. They do it at the beach all the time. They lift houses. They pay to lift the houses to lower, you get out of the floodplain, and then you don't have to pay the flood insurance. And then they're like hedging their bet, because they are continually like paying you out insurance claims. So they're hedging their bet that they pay for this lift, or they buy your property so they don't have to keep paying out over for so many years. So we had already applied for this grant, didn't come. And I have on this vision board, yes, it says yes to the grant, right? Like, yes to the grant. And it has pictures of the grant, and then it has arrows. And then it's like, yes, 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 yes. And then it says September 2021, because I was told that that's when we were going to find out. So I like had this September 2021 was in my head, and it was like everything flowing to September 2021.
And what was the time frame what was the date when you were doing this?
Probably like June, July of
Okay.
2021.
Mm-hmm.
Probably June. It's probably summer. I'm not teaching anymore, like end of June,
Yeah.
beginning of July. And I hang it on the fridge and I'm like, Greg, you got to look at this. It had all this other stuff on
Mm-hmm.
it. And got to look at this. And every day, like, look at this. Yes to the grant, September. Yes. And that's really what I was focusing on. Yes to the grant, September. Yes to the grant, September. And I, and then Hurricane Ida happens, right? On September 1st, 2021 was when Hurricane Ida happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we, that the whole property gets destroyed, the house becomes like uninhabitable. And so, and at that point was when we still haven't gotten the grant. We're still waiting for the grant, but we're going to get the grant because we qualify for the grant. And the reason that we qualify for the grant, my light's going out, is because of Hurricane Ida.
Uh,
And Greg would be like, this is your fault. Like, you manifested this, you put it on the vision board. But like, even there was like some crazy things because other things on the vision board was where we ended up after Hurricane Ida, even though that ended up being like this god awful situation in the end, it did save us for a moment. And like, Greg had like envisioned, he had like drawn the house out that we ended up in, our middle house. And like, I was like, we both like there was like a glitch in the matrix that like, yeah, we're getting what we want, but it's like just this like, people say like Ganesh will remove obstacles, but like he's gonna put you through. Like I said, it's not gonna be easy. So yeah, so we're still waiting, but like the only way that we've ever been able to qualify for the grant is because Hurricane Ida. So I basically put all of this on myself.
yeah. So the hurricane happens. Property is destroyed. House is unlivable. And at that point, you had already applied for the grant. So like, how did that? And here we are, three, almost
3.
2.5 years,
Yeah.
3 years later. Um, so they were like, okay, well, great. Now you do actually qualify this because there's nothing there. Like, what are they gonna? What does that grant do?
So
How does
we,
that
yeah.
alleviate? Like, are you still paying for this house and this flood insurance? Like, what?
So, so, so we get into this house in Sellersville, and I get word like pretty soon after the hurricane because we were applying for a pre-disaster grant. Like, we're in a bad situation. There's no disaster, but like we need to get out of the situation. And they were like, nah, we're not doing that. And so at like right after Hurricane Ida, we find out we don't get the grant that we had applied for
Okay.
twice. We applied for like the lift grant, we didn't get it, and then we applied. And then you have to pay for the house. You have to pay for the flood insurance. You have to pay for the sewer bill. You have to pay
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
like, so, and then you also have to pay for rent that you're paying now, like, and bills and groceries. And we couldn't, you are drowning in that. And so we were going to foreclose on the house because we couldn't, and they gave like, like what are those, like, you don't have to pay your mortgage for a little bit after Hurricane Ida, but
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
we were going to foreclose. But and God, is that the most like stressful thing, because then that changes the course of your whole entire future, because you're in this financial situation that's not your fault, but like nobody's really looking out for you. And so I, luckily, because I don't know if I said this last time, but like I'm highly educated, I speak English, I have the resources, I have the time to pursue this, that I could figure out the loophole, that because they'll give you like $40,000 of your insurance, right?
Uh-huh.
But you have to show that you fix the house before they give you the next $40,000. Well, nobody's ever fixing this house because
Yeah.
nobody's ever moving back in this house.
Yeah.
So we were never going to get, it was like 200. Oh, get a load of this. There's so many crazy things. We owed $254,000 on the house.
Uh-huh.
Our insurance, we got $254,000 in insurance money, $300 difference between
Wow.
what we owed on the mortgage and the house. So so I figure out this loophole that if you can take all of your insurance money, the only way you can get all of your insurance money is if you pay off your mortgage.
Okay.
So figure that out. Months and months and months talking to people, like highly stressed out, like so stressed
Yeah.
out. And so we pay off the mortgage. We do not foreclose. But then you lose all this money. Like you lose, oh, by the way, the flood happens and the only thing, the fridge flips over, everything downstairs is wrecked. Guess the only thing that basically survives downstairs is the vision board that I made on the top of the fridge. I was like, should we take this with us? Greg's like, no, we're throwing that out. Like, we're not bringing it with us. We need to make a new vision board. Like, we're not keeping this vision board. I was like, true. It's a good point. So yeah, so we don't foreclose on the house, but we still own the property. We still have to pay flood insurance because we're still trying to qualify for the grant. And the only way you can qualify for the grant is with flood insurance, but it's not the high bill that it used to be. There's just so many.
So you're paying for the property, but not the house. You figured out how to pay off the mortgage for the house.
Yeah, but we still have to pay taxes and school taxes. So we're paying double taxes. There's just like, it's just like, I don't know how people survive this, like,
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and so the end game is that grant will get you out of the property altogether?
Yeah. And it'll help us. So we're rebuilding this farm, but like, it's just been a financial burden. So we just want to be made whole again. So hopefully the grant will come and we'll find out again. But you can just I said to the township, I'm like, can I just like keep applying for it until I get it? And he's like, oh yeah, some people apply like year after year after year and then they eventually get it. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll do that. But there's people that the township can contract out that can help you write grants, because like the township's overwhelmed. They don't know, nobody
Yeah.
knows how to write grants. Like grant
Yeah.
writers know how to write grants.
Mm-hmm.
So I like also hunted down this woman from talking to people 10 times, you know what I mean? And getting information from them. Like the state and the township, like, I'm like, hey, it's Kara. And they're like, oh, this woman,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's so wild because there are so many pieces of it. And first of all, like my hope and wish for you is that you get that grant quickly and easily, right? With like the least amount of effort and harm possible. But I think, and you talked about this in the podcast for sure, that when things like this happen, they're so uprooting on so many different levels. And like there is nothing more stressful than being in the grips of financial stress. Like it impacts every single aspect of life and worry and all of that. And um, again, like I just don't think people have like a full picture of like what happens when people are in a natural disaster or in something that is like a crisis of this nature that like you brought up in the podcast, either you or Greg, like when people be like, how are you? And it's
I
like,
wouldn't even answer them.
like it's just such a hard question to even answer because it's like, where do you want me to begin? And like, do you really have capacity and do you really want to hold that space? Because it's every aspect of your life is impacted. And I can remember in the throes of my long COVID where I was like, there's something very, very wrong with me. Like I was afraid to leave my house and cross the street because I was like, I'm so disoriented. And I am lucky enough and educated enough that I was able to like literally have a conversation with myself, like your brain's broken, you're not broken, your brain's broken, you're not broken, and then like go through the steps to get help. But that whole process for like a year, even still, like in my experience, the medical system and being like, this is a racket. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody will answer your questions. Nobody will say they don't know, or they'll just, and then the bills are piling up. And I'm like, how does anybody do this? This is a full-time job. It gave me such a greater appreciation for people that live with chronic disease. Um, it's just these systems that we think naively now, right, that are there to ensure us in case something happens or to help us when we're not well. It just hasn't been my experience that that's actually true.
Yeah, and they
And
don't want you to win. They don't
so
want you to get better.
it's
They don't
so
want you to.
dehumanizing.
Yeah.
It's so like talk about taking the wind out of your sails. And there are times where I'm imagining that you felt this too. You're like, I can't do it to like I need a break. Like I need a break from making 10,000 phone calls and doing these things. Um, so it really is all encompassing, which good.
No, I'm just thinking about like the practice, right? So like
Hmm.
every day it
Hmm.
was like you just have to I just showed like I haven't even go to work. Like I just showed up to work. That's all I
Yeah.
did was I showed up to work, and I was present for work, and I was present for all of the pain and all of the like every little thing. And I remember I have a friend that's in recovery
Hmm.
from alcoholism, and like I would call her because I'd be like, how do I make it through this? Like what? She's like 15 minutes, like
Yeah.
15 minutes at a time. And literally I would like try to like see 15 minutes at a time and be like, you have to, it really forces you to be super present, because anything beyond that is just
Hmm.
too much to handle. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's just like coming, you just come to the practice over and over again. Like you just come to it, and you show up for the moment and for the emotions that you're in, and you're just there for yourself, and for whatever's there. You just show up for whatever's there in that moment, and you allow it to be there,
Hmm.
and like and try to not, like I just kept trying to like not, there was so much anger, there was so much sadness, there was so much like so much, and I was there for it all, and I was able to move
Hmm.
through it, and it was so painful, so painful. And like but I went through the pain, and so now it's behind me. And if I
Hmm.
was like holding on to all of it, I wouldn't have been able to move through it, and I wouldn't be where I am now. You know what I mean? So just
Yeah.
like so grateful for the practice.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so like in the podcast episode again, I think it was like 5 weeks out from the incident, and like you're still pretty much in active trauma at that point. Yes, you might not be trapped on your second floor at that moment, but you're still uprooted. You're still in chaos around where are we living. You tell the story about like having to get the hives back and forth, right? Where am I living? Who am I staying with? Things like that going south, finances, food, like all of these things, right? And so you talk about Greg was talking about like I've never had an appreciation for her. Like like I'm not depressed. Like I am depressed, but like I'm aware that like there's this impact on my brain. And so I'm curious, like now where you feel like a two-part question here, like the reflection on the last 3 years and being like, yeah, it felt like we were in active trauma response for 6 more months, or like here's a point where it started to like shift and come down, and or like what you think its impact is on you still to this day.
Well, there's another podcast episode that you should listen to, which
Damn it! I didn't
is
do my homework again.
Little Did We Know, which is the re-traumatization of being displaced again. After
Mm,
you got to listen to that episode
mm,
of us being displaced after a year and a half of
mm,
living on this
mm.
property, when my friend just like completely just like, I don't even know what happened. Like she just like she has a breakdown, and everybody's caught in her
Yeah.
breakdown. Um, so that was right when we felt like we are like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Hmm.
dream again. Because you can't even dream. You like
Totally.
we lost all hope.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like all of our dreams, all of our aspirations were just like gone.
Hmm.
And we just and we were just starting to like make plans for the future. And then she was just like, you can't be here anymore, and you gotta move in 2 months. And like, what are you talking about? Like, you have to move your farm in 2 months. Like, and it was like very hostile. So that was all re-traumatizing. And then she just like keeps, I talk about this like last time we chatted, just like she just keeps stripping away, just like keeps coming at us and attacking us. Like, so and then I was in this house, and we were trying to rebuild, and every day we would wake up, we would physical labor until the moment we went to sleep, and then we would go to sleep, and we would wake up over and over and over again. And I was so physically exhausted and so mentally exhausted. I was so like, I look at back pictures and I knew in the moment, like, gaunt, like, so just like you could see my ribs, like, because we were working so, it was
Mm,
so grueling that I just couldn't get it is enough calories to like feed myself. It wasn't even that I wasn't eating, it was just like there wasn't enough time and there wasn't enough like
mm,
calories to consume. And I couldn't wait to go back to school. And Greg was like, wait, like the summer, I'm like, I don't want to be here. Like, this is too hard. Like, and we bought this property and I like, now I love it. But like, I was like, this isn't what I wanted. Like, this wasn't our plans. Like,
mm,
so it was just like this re-traumatization of like being displaced again and like just like being cut down again by like people that you think that you can count on and you can't. And it was just this like, oh, but so then I go back to school and Greg is built like spending his days building, like fixing the house, building the house because we
the
had to
house that you're
gut it
in
down.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this is like the nicest part of my house right now. This is like the only place I could really sit because like it's just like bare walls and we're just
Mhm,
like we had to strip it. We got the whole entire place, like
mhm,
top to bottom, gut till studs and rebuilding. And then also like building our farm and we got goats and we have 6 acres, but like just like healing the land because and we
mm,
did this at our last farm too, like healing the land because it's just like all of this. It's just like unhealthy, invasive, like plants and whatever. So, but we found that like when we heal the land, we heal ourselves. Like
yeah.
unequivocally, like that is what happens, and like getting to know things. And as I started seeing that, and it's not even the house, because I don't even really care about the house. Like, I mean, it's nice to have like a finished, it's nice to have a door, which I didn't have last time, but like it's it's reconnecting with nature. Like my herbalist teacher talks about like having these connections and like being able to talk to plants and that
Mhm,
plants will like talk to you.
mhm,
And even when I was at our last farm, when I was really trying to leave,
mm,
and I used to do yoga, I would let the chickens out and I would do yoga and meditation like all of the time, pretty regularly underneath this maple tree. And I would look up at the maple tree like during Shavasana or like whatever I was doing. And I just like felt really connected to this maple tree. And I remember, and I would beg, this is also cool. I would beg the property, I would beg the land because it was so live. I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. We can't live here anymore. Like it's unsustainable. I need your help. I don't know what else to do. I'm turning to you, land, and I'm asking you, you got to
mm,
help me get out. Well, guess what
mm,
helped us get out? The tornado hit this giant oak tree that fell on the bridge, and it was the bridge. It was the bridge being wiped out that made the property like the bridge is uninhabitable. You can't get across it. The bridge is condemned.
mhm,
So is like the oak tree, this 250-year oak tree, like its whole life it lived, and its end was to save us, really. And
mm,
so I remember I was crying and I was laying on my back on my yoga mat and I was looking up at this maple tree and I said, but I need out. I need to get off this property, but I don't want to leave this property because it was just like we were so connected to the land. And I was like, and I don't want to leave you. Like I just felt like this
mhm,
super connection to this this tree and just that space. And like certain people understand, like it just like kind of moved. And when like things
mhm,
speak to you and you just know, you just like kind of hear it, and it's just like this internal thing. And it said to me, wherever you go, we're here. You're not
mm,
leaving us. We're wherever we go.
mhm,
Wherever you go. So, and then I cried and I was like, oh my God.
mm,
So then we get here and I'm going through all of this stuff and I'm taking my herbalism course. And David Winston, my teacher, who's like this amazing herbalist that's been an herbalist for like 50 plus years. And he's teaching us how to like sit with plants and get to know them and like get to know them as like beings
mhm,
and be able to speak to them. And he tells this story about how he spoke to this plant. And he says it doesn't matter what, like, so if I know a maple tree at my old farm, then any other maple tree that I ever see in my entire life, doesn't matter species, doesn't matter anything, that tree knows you when you know it, if you've had this connection. So I go out back the next day and I don't even realize it. I'm going out back and I like see the trees and there's this one tree and it kind of like hangs over like my other maple tree, like kind of hung. I realized that the maple trees, there's like this grove of maple trees in the backyard. They've been there the whole time. This whole time that I was like traumatized here, re-traumatized here, and like crying and like working myself to the bone and like not being able to like cope and just so desperate that the whole time the maple trees were there. And the whole time, like this comfort and this solace and this beauty was there that I couldn't even see because I was so just like in my own misery. And I realized that like my friend and my confidant and this just like this connection that I had is here. And I drop to my knees and I cry and I just am just so grateful. And it's like we see each other again for the first time. And I'm like, you're here, you've been here the whole time. And I'm like, and it's just, that was just a moment of, and I can't even tell you when that was, maybe last fall. So just like this past fall. And I'm like, you're here, and we're here. And then I was able to see the trees. You know what I mean? Like see the plants. Like, with that, when that like veil lifts and you can like, of course you're seeing them, but like you can like see and you can like connect and like, and so that was really like seeing the property being built and Greg like making headway and us being like able to like cultivate and like heal the land, but also remembering like the connection to the land was like a moment that just was like so powerful.
It's really beautiful.
It's just the most beautiful. It's the most beautiful. And then I'll go back to our old farm sometimes and I'll see like there's nothing like that one tree. Do you know what I mean? That one tree is just like I see her and I say hi to her, but I'm like, we're here. We're still together. Like we're still together even when I'm not here. And I like make sure there's no vines on her and like take care of her and yeah.
I feel like I understand, like I got to understand this and like the language of like the plant world so much during COVID and like just spending so much more time outside. And I had just bought a house and was doing a garden and all of that. But there's specifically these three willow trees um, in a park in Conshohocken that like my friend and I called them the three sisters. Like they like, held so much for me like during that period of time, which included like just remembered this, like as we're talking about this, I had organized a community get together during all of like the Black Lives Matter moments where there were rallies and protests and things of that, and being so nervous because some people instilled some fear in me about doing that, and like going with my friend Megan to the three trees, like to the three sisters, and being like, help us like hold this space, help us like do this. And just like the whole time I was sick with those trees. And so I feel like my own practice has gotten so much stronger from different teachers in my life and different friends in my life, like talking about this, that like when I left Conshohocken, like I went and said goodbye to those three trees,
Yeah.
right? And like said thank you. And I know that like leaving the beach, like I'm like tearing up thinking about it. Like it's gonna be so hard for me to say goodbye to the ocean because she absolutely answered the prayers of like what I came here to do, and learn and heal. And I've spent so much time, I think because I've had my own experiences of I need out, those kind of moments, and doing practices and rituals around them, but also just maybe still being like immature in my own energetic and spiritual power, right? Like the two times that I've done that, being like, I need out, what am I gonna do? Like there was a fire and I lost everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then the second time was COVID and like all of the many different pieces around COVID for me. that this time at the beach, I was thinking about this today. Um, there's been so much more like devotional practice to the land and like asking the land for support and clarity and holding and moving, and in that sense of, Kara, what you said, like that the tree gave you that message of like, wherever you go, I'm going to be there. That same thing. And I got that message. I think we talked about when I was in Sicily on the last time we chatted, like that. I didn't feel totally prepared when I got to the land of my great grandmother, like that I didn't come bearing gifts. And like the message that I so like clearly got was like, oh honey, you being here is enough. You like that grandmother,
Yeah.
like that grandmother
Yeah.
love,
Yes.
like that kind of like you're there's so much love, and like as you are, like it's like we're always going to be there. And so yesterday when I sent out my email telling my email list that like, okay, I'm like coming back and I'm going to open up a studio. And I called my friend and I was like, dude, I'm like nervous. And she's like, why? I was like, because I don't actually have a plan. Like, I don't, right? Like,
I love that.
like I don't act like I have a plan, but like that
Right.
plan hasn't like nobody else has said yes to that plan yet, right? Like there's a space that I want. It's very specific, right? And I think all of these different moments, like these moments of like breakdown and breakthrough, these moments of like losing everything or losing control or having my prayers answered in ways different than I expected. And the response that I have always felt, like there I've had some of my biggest lessons around the power of community in those moments as well.
Mm.
Whether community is people
Yes.
or non-human, right? That in that email I said, like, dream with me, people, and I wrote a prayer in there. And I wrote a prayer in there, and within an hour, 1 hour, the dude who owns the space that I want called me.
Today or yesterday?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I read the
Yep.
email. Get
And
out
within
here.
1 hour, right? And so I was like, this stuff works. And so like it was like I also just feel like it teed up this conversation because it's like going back to like your vision board and your chant to Ganesh. It's like our word is our wand. We have so much power. We have so much power.
So much power. It's like
Energy follows
scary
attention.
how
It's
much
scary,
power.
right? We have
Yeah.
so many allies in the natural world. In fact, like the natural world is like always our ally, maybe sometimes more than human beings,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and when we learn how to like work with those forces, in whatever way, whether it's the chant to Ganesh and like just learning how to like finesse language around what does removing this obstacle actually mean and like getting more specific with that, or learning how to work with the land, with ancestors, and how all of that is really here to like support us in our journey, like for the moments when the shit hits the fan, right? Because when the shit hits the fan, like hopefully this is like what this is how I look at it. I'm like, oh, some of these moments, I don't know if I would have gotten through some of these moments if I didn't have years of practice under my belt. It didn't
I
mean that I was
know.
practicing in the moments that the shit hit the fan because there wasn't time or space to practice in that way. It's like we like build, or I think about it like of building up my inner reserves and that like fortification so that when the shit hits the fan and all I can do is be present to the moment and show up in the moment, and that it's not going to, it might take me to my knees, but I'll be able to like get back up again. So,
Well, and that is the like that's what we've been practicing for.
right,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's like the like
We're
when I teach
practicing for you.
meditation, it's like you can't just show up and think you're gonna like hit the foul shot at the end of the game and win the game if you never practice your foul shot.
I love that you
Like,
just used that metaphor.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you have to show up and you have to take all the foul shots over and over and over and over. You have to show up and you have to do it and you have to get on the mat and you have to practice because people just want to be like, oh yeah, I'll just be present in this moment. Like, no, you need to do the work to be
Yeah.
able to, in the hardest moment, have the skills and have that fill to be able to access that.
Yeah. And these moments, and again, like I don't know if I would notice these moments if I just hadn't just done what I just did for the last however many years, right? Like I had this moment that I have like two moments. I'm like, which one am I gonna tell? So in the last 24 hours of like sharing some of this like behind the scenes story on social media of like I just sent out this email, I'm nervous, blah blah. And in between some of these stories, I was also posting other things, and some of them were about Gaza, right?
Mm,
And also within an hour, there's somebody in my DMs being like, maybe this isn't the best way to promote your new studio. Talking about, you know what I mean, going that route. And I was like, the water has taught me so much. Like the water and like getting grounded, of course. But I just had like this different response to this person than I probably would have 5 years ago or 6 years ago, where I would have been a fight cat and and rightfully so, right? But I was like, well, I'm not gonna get anywhere. And I was
right.
just like I used this person's name. I was like, hi person, it's like good to hear from you. Like I haven't seen you in so long. And then like had a response that was like, my wish is that there was no violence, and I'm trying to understand what my practice, like how my practice shows up in all of this. And this person came at me a couple more times, but I just kept like coming back to him, like again using his name and just being like, this person was Jewish. I have no idea what it's like to feel like for you, like, and just not using as, I don't know,
Mm.
just being different in my approach. And I
Yeah.
feel like the waters just like taught me so much about being fluid and like shape shifting, and not in a weird way, but being able to like just kind of like move what's right in front of me, not my own agenda, not my own control. And so yeah, I just went on a little bit of a tangent, but yeah.
No, yeah, that's so, and also like,
Mm. The water has cooled my fire a lot, right? I'm fiery, I'm
oh,
fiery, I'm fiery. The water has been like another element to bring in to be like, here's something else we could use to like learn how to work with your fire, when you want to work with it,
mm,
how you want to work with it,
mm.
so you don't just burn everything down.
And but also being like, if that's something important to you, being fiery, like
Totally, absolutely.
not being not fiery, like being fiery, but
Yeah.
drinking hibiscus tea, which will help cool you down.
Right, not over firing as I'm like 43 and like I'm just hot all the time. But yeah, it's really
Yeah.
so like so how do you guys feel? Where do you feel like you are with that like trauma imprint right now? Do you feel like you're grounded? Do you feel like you still have moments that like throw you off whack? Do you feel like you're in as much maybe like PTSD as you were for
Yeah,
six
that's
months?
interesting. It pops up sometimes when I don't know it. Like we
Mm,
had a huge storm. There's just been
mm,
like these storms that have been like, we're gonna get 3 inches of rain,
yeah.
right? And so, and trees falling was part of the trauma, right? And so there was a storm, and I have to drive by the Perkiomen, which floods all the time, and people live right on the Perkiomen, and I have to drive by that to get to work. And there was one storm this winter, and Greg was on like a Montgomery County Beekeepers Association board call, and we
Mm,
hear this huge bang,
mm,
and he goes, "Can you go outside and check that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go outside and check it." But I was like, the whole night, I was like, just like
yeah.
kind of just having to, how sometimes you turn toward and sometimes you turn away. It's not always skillful to like turn toward your anxiety. Like sometimes you just have
Ugh.
to distract yourself from it. So all night I was distracting myself. And he's like, "Can you go outside in the middle of this storm and check on this thing?" Like he's not thinking, he's just like in the middle of his meeting. But like I go outside, the trees are like glowing. It's rain is coming down and I lose it. And I like hyperventilate, and I'm just like I don't even know how long I was outside. I'm freaking out in the middle of the rain,
Mm,
like panic attack. And I come in like obviously having like had this like crying traumatic experience, and he looks at me, and I didn't check on anything because I couldn't even get 1 foot out the door.
mm,
And he is like, "Oh, I'll get it later. Like, don't
mm,
worry about it."
mm-hmm.
And whatever, he had to take care of all of these things, and I like can't sleep, and I'm traumatized, and I wake up and I'm like, I need to take a half a day. So I need to go to school in the morning, and then I'm going to go home early because I just need to sleep and I just need to take care of myself. Well, I'm on my way into work, and there's roads flooded, and I got to drive by the Perkiomen where there's these houses flooded, and these people are literally flooded out of their houses, standing on the porch. The water's up to there. I'm seeing them, and we share a good friend, Steve Mogg. I work with him, and I'm just like scrambling for my phone, calling him. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do, but like, I am like not okay.
Mm.
And I like call him, and he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, because sometimes we like talk on the way into work, and I'm like, but like,
Mm.
that's all I'm saying. He's like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, "Oh." And he like talks to me on my way into work, and I'm like, you just got to just talk to me. Just say something, anything other than,
Mm.
I don't want to talk. You just got to like talk to me. And and he says to me later, he's like, well, he goes, well, this is good because you haven't really been able to confront like the storm part of it. Like, you've been confronting all of these other things,
Mm.
but you haven't been able to confront like the storm part of it. He's like, so this is like good work, Kara. And I'm like,
Nice
I
job,
love this.
Stevie.
I'm like, but I don't want to do
Yeah.
this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But it is like a good way to think about it. And like, we haven't really had a storm like that since. But I do, I'm like, I'm feeling, I am traumatized by stress, I find,
Mm-hmm.
like, because, and being overwhelmed. So even like if I'm like doing a lot of Joe and I have a lot on my plate, I feel that trauma response. And I'm like, but this isn't that. Like, you're not fighting for your life right now. You're just like overwhelmed because you're trying to build your dream and like change your life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but so I've noticed like I have work to do in
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just gonna do the work. But like, I love it here. I love what we're building. I love, what's happening, but it's just like, it's residual, but like, I'm willing to, maybe to a fault, face it head on. Like, oh, here we go. Let's look at it. Like, and like I said earlier, like, there's times that are skilled to turn away, and I probably turn toward like too often,
Mm-hmm.
that I should turn away sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, there's like hope, there's dreams, there's visions. I'm like envisioning what I want, and like where I want to go, and what I want, and I'm like working really hard toward that, to
Mm-hmm.
like, be a clinical herbalist, and to do Joe all the time, and like bring my yoga and meditation into that like clinical herbal world, and like rebuild the farm, and like have this herb farm, and like
Mm-hmm.
grow our bees, and do all the
Mm-hmm.
things.
So is there something that, right, because sometimes what happens with the nervous system, like you can turn towards the work and do all the work you want, and sometimes it's like chemical, right? Because your nervous system just still isn't back to its baseline.
Yeah.
So let's stay with the herbs. Like, are there herbs that you're currently taking to nourish your nervous system on a regular basis?
Interesting. So I'm working with a lot of like a mold detox still. I'm
Mm.
detoxing from mold. Um, so nervous. You know what? This is like, even as you were saying, I'm like, it's a good reminder, Kara, that like maybe some practices to like realign the nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
because because once you're like, your fight or flight is like going off, you're just like conditioned to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's a good reminder to like, you know, I have been like meditating and following, like, lemon balm's good. Lemon balm's great for that. Lemon
Yeah.
balm's good for that. Fresh oat, milky fresh oat tincture is
Mm.
good for that. None
Mm-hmm.
of skull cap. I take skull cap.
Yeah. What about
Um,
mushrooms?
like medicinal, like,
Any
all kinds of
mushroom. Yeah.
mushrooms. You know what? I do take reishi
Mm-hmm.
every day with cacao and
Mm-hmm.
dandelion.
Mm-hmm.
And reishi, I feel like I'm eating psychedelic mushrooms. Like, it's not a psychedelic mushroom, but like, I kind of get this like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like really grounding. Um, uh, cordyceps is really great for that and really grounding. Yeah, so I am like dandelion, I even find is really grounding. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
I am taking herbs like that without even like I'm taking herbs for this, but like I do like, oh, I gotta take this. Yeah, those are good things. It kind
Mm-hmm.
of just depends on, it's funny because like herbs are like, who's the person? Like, what does this person need? Like,
Mm-hmm.
um, versus like this herb's good for this. But like, let's
Mm-hmm.
look at this person and see like, what is this person? Like, how is this, like, what kind of nervous system needs does this person
Mm-hmm.
require? But it's a
Mm-hmm.
good, I'm glad that you just even said it to me because it's a good reminder, like the chemical part of it
Mm-hmm.
is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. And
Like
then,
retraining your
yeah,
body.
yeah, and like just bringing it back into that like integration that it can stay there on its own, that the littlest thing,
Yes.
right? Like I think I've shared with you this before, like with COVID, like it just destroyed my nervous system. So, yeah, like again, yesterday there was so much adrenaline pumping through my veins, which adrenaline doesn't normally pump through my veins that much anymore. And I was like, this is gonna blow my nervous system out. Like I have to do something to bring this under control so I don't have a crash. And so like I went to the beach, played with my nephews, you know what I mean, did a workout. I still was a little like fatiguey and crashed this morning, but I have enough like tools in my tool belt to like bring me
Mhm.
back. But like, and it's really been so much learning for me of like just looking at the nervous system that way, right? Like if an electrical box blows, it's like you gotta do so many things to like reground that and keep it back in a place where it's not gonna blow every time.
Yeah. I'm and I'm still like there's a lot of anger.
Yeah.
Like I see like I'm just like angry at like situations or like people. Like it's funny, I said today like I'm super duper compassionate, but I'm also really angry at people at the same time. Like someone was like, "Oh,
Me
well that's just
too.
like it's just like you're balanced and you're not like annoyingly compassionate." I'm like, "Okay, well thanks. I like that attitude toward it." But like, like and that's just I think also I think an important lesson is we're not gonna not be I'm not gonna not be angry at people. Like that's just
Sure.
like
There's a lot to
we don't.
fucking be angry about right now.
Yeah. So it's just it's not having these expectations of just like being like, oh, like
Yeah.
that's not what it is.
Yeah, that's not what it
It's
is.
being able to work with all of the things that come up.
Right. Right. Being able to work with it, move it out of your system so it doesn't come out sideways or get repressed in the tissues. So, would you consider doing another vision board, or would you have like another, or is there like a, uh, my word is my wand affirmation that you're working with currently?
So I worked with one of my friends who's like, talk about powerful, Maria Finelli. She's like one of my mentors, powerful meditation teacher. And I went to her like in tears and she was like, okay, we got to work together. And she does this like, going back to like the root of childhood issues and like doing this like, hypnosis. It's like not hypnosis, but it's like this hypnosis meditation that you just like envision your future, how you want it. You love that wounded child and person that was, and you heal them, and then you carry them with you into this vision of what you want to be,
Hmm.
and that you're totally capable, and that like all of these things, right? Like, and so I've been working on that since Hurricane Ida, and it's funny because like, and then I stopped doing it, and I picked it up just like not that long ago. And the first time I listened to it, I was like just like crying, but I was also like because I was like, oh my God, like the things that I envisioned in this weird twisted way are happening right now. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
again. And
Yeah.
now I'm doing that meditation every day to just like envision what I want, and I walk. So it's not a vision board because honestly, like I'm a little bit scared of vision boards right now.
Totally.
But I like walk through my house, my unfinished house,
Mm,
picturing what it's going to look like. I walk through my backyard and like have
mm,
like, like an office and like a Carajo skincare and bee farm, just like honey house and
mm,
like just kitchen, like separate from my house. Like, and I picture it standing right there, right in front of me. You know what I mean? I
mm,
picture the farm, like as I was like kind of doing my little rinky-dink garden that I have right now just because I need one and I want one. Like
Hmm.
picturing, okay, what is this going to be when I hoe the ground and it's my farm rather than this thing?
Yeah.
So like like it's my 3D. I have a 3D vision board.
Yeah, totally. I love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I'm like that too. I feel like I like I like to put my body in the space, right? And like use my whole body to like what's it gonna feel like? What's it gonna sound like? I'm very, very visual. The like sitting down and writing or journaling. I mean, I do a lot of journaling, but this type of work I don't necessarily journal around. I like to be in there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Cool.
sounds like you're with your newsletter. You're like that's your vision board. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
putting it out and envisioning it and having other people. That's why I'm like I tell people I'm like to get the like envision me getting the grant. The more people that can envision us getting the grant, the more powerful that is and the more it
Mm.
resonates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
same
when's the
thing.
next deadline that you find out about the grant, or is it always like up in the air?
Well, the federal government, so they say the summer, but like probably not till the fall.
Yeah.
But you never know. You never
Yeah.
know.
I'm holding that vision for you.
Thank you.
And when I come back, I want to come out to the farm and see the farm.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to tell you that you are the ocean. So you don't need to,
Oh.
you can say goodbye physically to the
Yeah.
ocean, but
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
the ocean
I
and she
do.
is you.
Thank you. I do feel, while I'm going to be sad that I'm leaving her, I do feel like my relationship with water is forever changed. And I won't be able to stay away as long as I have in the past. And like there's water all around us all the time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's really, really interesting the way the world works and the way what happens when we come into like deeper relationship with the natural world.
And like when you pay attention, because it's happening all the time, but people
Totally.
miss it because they're like going through and then once you notice it,
Hmm.
it's like, oh, you noticed me. I'm gonna keep, and you notice it and you notice it,
Right.
and then you're just kind of like this like witch that can make these things happen that you're like, oh my God, you
Right,
know?
because it's the same thing as the vision board, right? Where you put your attention, where like energy and attention go together. So when you start noticing these things, and yeah, I was thinking about the witch thing today too, like just really how powerful we all are. My teacher, like Sean Corn, has always said, like everybody's intuitive, like it's a skill that everybody has. You just learn
Right.
to hone it and listen to it and fortify it, and it's amazing what we can do again. And I think I've learned like, and I have to be open to like this is going to happen, and it might not happen in the way that I want it to happen, right? Um, and it will happen, and it's why I think, right, that so many of these systems have been designed to keep that power shut down.
Yep. Ugh.
Yeah,
But
and it's
nobody can shut you down at your house doing the thing. Do you know what I mean? Like in
yeah.
your own way, you cannot be controlled.
Yes, and like, I mean, there have been periods of time where like financial situation has been so tough, right? That it's like really hard to have to still to remember that, feel that, practice
So
that.
true.
It's
So true.
it's when I've been in those moments before, it's been more a practice to like have faith that that situation is going to shift, but also it's like I had to do like practical things to make that shift, right? Um, so I believe what you said, and I think we're both saying that from a certain advantage point and seat of privilege that like for me to
Yes.
even know that this situation could shift, it's
Yes.
because there's something I believe in that's real. Like my family's never going to let me live on the street. You know what I mean? So even in my worst financial moments or fear of my worst financial moments, which oftentimes weren't true, like the fear was bigger than the reality, there were still things that I knew, but coming back to like what you said, like just thinking about people with less resources, like, and I taught a
Yeah.
class on Easter and we were talking about the theme of spring and growth and transformation and the courage of the seed. And somebody came up to me after and she was just bawling and she's from Ukraine and she was like, how am I supposed to believe any of this?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to practice any of this? Like my hometown is gone. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea because I've never, you know what I mean? So it's, and that's where, but what I do believe in is like community. What I do believe in is
Yeah.
people. What I do believe in is we're here to like do this together. Nobody's meant to do this alone. We're here to uplift each other, like, and fight for these things. Uh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and that's the answer. I don't know. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like too
Hmm.
many people like try to come up with an answer to that, but there's not an answer. And
Hmm.
that's what I'm saying is like, and then you have the faith, hopefully, to show up even in those hopeless moments. You show
Hmm.
up just to see what's going to happen today and you move through and you put one foot in front of the other. Yeah, because I mean, I think about, I mean, like people in Ukraine, people in Gaza, people in Darfur, like things aren't shifting and they just have to show up and be present for whatever it is and witness and experience this life, and it might be eh, just so hard to bear, you know, and
Hmm.
like that's part of it. Nobody said that we're going to show up to this life and it's going to be good. You know, it's just like to move through and be human and experience this human experience as best we can. And again, community, like hopefully we have community around us that can support us in this human experience, because being human is difficult.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the practice helps us navigate it, navigate this human experience in a skillful way,
Hmm.
hopefully.
Hmm. And do you think that that applies? This will be my last question because we could just like keep talking for like
I
7 more
know.
hours.
I know. I was like,
um, like when you say the practice, what do you mean?
um, I think it depends. I think it totally depends on who you are, where you're at. You know what I mean? Like, but for me, the
I'm going to
practice,
interrupt you for 1 second. Is it the practice or a practice?
I think it's the practice.
Mm.
And I'm going to say it's the practice because the way I know it to be is so like not about, it's like greater than, you know, when you meditate and you're like somebody's watch, it's like it's not you as this human being, but like this other thing that's like knowing, that's that's big. The reason you're the ocean. It's the reason I can talk to the trees and have a relationship with the trees is because it's the practice. It doesn't matter who you are or what you believe in or whatever. That is the universal thing that is holding us all together. That is this thing that is watching me meditate. You know what I
Mm.
mean? That
Mm.
that that can manifest these things. It's so it doesn't have to look the same way, but I think it's all going to the same thing.
Mm.
That
Yes. So like the practice as the universal practice, force, energy, etc. But it doesn't necessarily matter which practice you do to get to that practice.
the
Hmm.
knowing, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's not unknowing in my personal experience. It's
Hmm.
the knowing that
Hmm.
you and I are able to have this conversation and have different experiences, but we
Hmm.
still have the knowing. We still have it's the practice to get to whatever this thing is. Like one of my yoga teachers said, like you want to get in the room. There's many doors and many hallways to get in the room. It's
Yeah.
just getting in the room.
Yep. Yeah. Totally. And I think to clarify for anybody who's watching this in the future, hopefully, maybe, that what I was like teeing up there was um, that we're not that you're not, and correct me if I'm wrong. When we say like the practice, it includes and could also not include a yoga practice.
Absolutely.
Right. So it's like
Absolutely.
a practice to get into the room.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll practice to get to the and yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
mean,
No, I know what you meant. I'm
yeah,
clarifying.
the
I'm thinking
practice is
about
bigger.
because people are going to listen to us as yoga teachers and think that we're constantly just referring to only yoga, and that's not true.
No.
I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking about communing with nature, we're talking about prayer, we're talking
It's an
about
umbrella.
mindfulness. Yeah.
The practice, and then there's all of the, yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the goal is not that there's a goal in the practice, but the goal is
Yeah.
to get in the room.
To get in the room. I love that
To get in the
metaphor.
room.
Like to get in
Yeah,
the
it's good,
room,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Like that many paths, one truth. Many hallways
Yes.
to get into the same room.
The truth. The
Yeah,
practice.
the truth,
Yeah.
right. And then this is where I feel like we could also just talk forever, and I gotta like stop after this. One of the conflict or one of the challenges that I think we're in our collective humanity is that a lot of things are being done in the name of getting into the room.
Mm.
Under perhaps the
Mm.
right, like in the name of God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, did you watch that documentary, Mother Love Has One Mother God? I mean,
No.
that's where oh, watch it.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. Like, yeah, because people are hurting and people want answers and people want relief from their suffering. And I think people want easy answers.
Mm-hmm.
Like the work is hard. And
Mm-hmm.
and and people don't I don't think we don't have a culture that teaches us how to do it. We don't have a culture that gives us the capacity to even do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can't do hard things. Most of us can't do hard things. Like I'm a high school English teacher. We're not cultivating a culture and skills to do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just want the things. We don't want to. So yeah, I think that's part of the problem is because people are looking for community and they're finding it in like
Mm-hmm.
this way,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and and people are willing to take advantage of other people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's been happening forever, but like now because of the internet we can just take advantage of other people so easily because we can connect with one another like this in this way and offer people false hope. There's always been false hope and people offering false hope.
Mm-hmm.
And people prey on fear, and there's so much fear right
Yeah,
now.
for sure. For sure. Fear, power, and all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a scary time.
It is indeed a scary time.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna smell my cleanser mask.
Nice.
Well, my friend, it's been really lovely chatting with you.
It has been.
I'm like,
Again, we need to like
I
just
don't even
get
know what time
coffee
it
or
is.
lunch or something.
Yeah.